Hello, welcome to the Naruto 200 Days. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to watch the first 100 days, as this series is telling a full story. I also want to thank everyone for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. Last time, we were introduced to BoxDeity, son of the current Hokage. You saw him grow into a strong genin, and help take down and befriend Crystal, a powerful force of nature. But now, it's time to get started. Fasten your seatbelts, boys and girls, and get ready for the Naruto Anime Mod 200 Days. Starting up on day 101, I begin training with Shindo and Kevin once more. Kevin explains to me that he forms his trident using fire release, rather than it being a trident surrounded with fire. For a week, he trains me to develop something like that with my water release. On day 107, I've managed to perfect the technique. For now, it's strong but breaks easily. Shindo shows up with melancholy and tells us to go follow him. We go to Orochimaru's lab just outside the village. Inside, he tells us all about everything Crystal knew. There are more forces like her, and she was the second weakest. She explains that only Yang Force has ever seen Yin Force, but she doesn't think Yin Force will be a threat to anyone. We decide to help Orochimaru capture the rest of them, but Lord Hokage shows up and says no, unless at least one of us three passes the upcoming Chunin exams. The three of us train together for a few days, ending it with a free-for-all sparring match. Then, we train alone for a few more. Day 118 arrives, as does the Chunin exams. We arrive at the Chunin exam arena and see plenty of genin from other villages, as well as their accompanying jonin and chunin. First round is a redone version of the genin exams, with a quick written test and a test on the 4 jutsu categories. First up is shuriken jutsu. I do alright, but nothing too crazy. Then in the taijutsu test, I score really high. In Kenjutsu, I have the highest score of all the test takers. For the ninjutsu test, we are able to demonstrate one powerful jutsu we have. I demonstrate by shooting 3 water dragons into the air. We're told to rest for the day, while the referee decides who moves on. We get back to the arena the next day and are told that the 3 of us have made it onto the second stage. This test is a game of capture the flag. The way it works is simple. A normal game of capture the flag. However, if you get captured by the enemy, you're out. And if your team loses, you're out. The only way to pass the exam is to not get captured at all and for your team to win. Both conditions must be fulfilled. Kevin and I take on and capture 2 of the other team members. And Melancholy manages to get the flag without even fighting the last one. Having won the match, we then have to wait for the rest of them to conclude. Later we enter the finals, but since there are too many ninja left, they hold a preliminary tournament. For my match, I'm put up against a ninja from the Hidden Rain. He's nothing too special and I take him out. Afterward, one of his allies approaches me. He commends me on my abilities and says that he hopes to face me in the final round. I learned that some ninja didn't even participate in the preliminary rounds if their performance in the previous rounds showed extreme promise. One of these people was Melancholy. I also learned that Kevin failed and lost his preliminary fight to the same rain ninja that was talking to me after my match. So now if we fight each other, it gives both of us a chance for revenge. We're given our matches for the final rounds and told we have 10 days to train and get ready. My finals match, I look to the board hoping to see the name of the Rain Ninja, Go. But to my surprise, my opponent is none other than Melancholy. I can't be too upset though, This means that one of us has a good shot of becoming a Chunin. I begin my training for the finals. As I train, I realize Melancholy must have developed something really strong to have been passed into the finals without even fighting in the preliminaries. Melancholy prepares and trains on her own for the 10 days. I spend a lot of my time training with Kevin and Shindo. I end the last day of my training before the exams start up again, and on my way home, I run into Orochimaru. He asks if I want a better shot at winning my exam. I tell him I do, and he offers to make my curse seal even stronger. He tells me that my body appears to be ready for the second stage, and it would help fight against the forces in the future. I agree. He puts some weird seal on my face and tells me to go to sleep for the night, but not to remove the seal. One last thing before we part ways, he tells me not to activate my second stage curse seal, or even my first stage for a bit into the next day. We all head to the arena again. A few hours after arriving, my match begins. Melancholy and I stand opposite each other in the arena. I rush after her and begin to fight. She begins attacking me in a different way. She forcefully shoots out shadow-like darkness. When it hits me, my body is slowed down, and I'm blinded. I try to counter, but before I even know what's happening, Melancholy wraps me in darkness. All I hear is her say the word limbo before I pass out. I wake up a day later, but something's off. Well, for one, everything is pitch black. I wander for a bit before feeling my chakra drain from me, and I pass out again. This happens for about a week or so, just waking up, walking a bit, and passing out. On about day 140, I finally encounter something else. Shindo. What is he doing here? I go to approach him, but he attacks me. I take him out and realize it wasn't real. Then it hits me. Melancholy was fighting me. The darkness she used must have been a genjutsu. I try to disrupt my chakra to break it, but it doesn't work. It's all or nothing. I activate my curse seal, and for the first time use the second stage. Using a boost in power, I try one more time to break the genjutsu and I break free. It turns out that only a few minutes had passed in the real world. I'd already lost my match with Melancholy, and she was actually trying to break the genjutsu herself. She apologizes for failing to do so. In the arena is Go, the rain ninja, and some sand ninja. Go appears to be winning, but suddenly someone interrupts the match. Crystal and Orochimaru, both in the stands, recognize who it is. Wind Force. I step forward to attack him, but before I can do anything, someone else shows up right in front of him. One of the village Jonin, Naruto Uzumaki. Quick lore check real quick. Naruto in this universe is not a Jinchuriki, and thus his backstory is a hell of a lot different. His parents still died in the Nine-Tails attack, but it wasn't sealed within him. Anyways, back to the actual plot. He beats Wind Force pretty easily, and it runs away. Lord Sixth orders him to chase after. The match continues afterward, and Go wins. Nothing else eventful happens throughout the finals, and I go home to rest. After Melancholy's genjutsu, I feel sick, or maybe that's from using the second stage of the curse seal too soon. Either way, I'm bedridden for a few days. At some point, Shindo stops by and lets me know that only a few people passed the test and became Chunin. One of them was Melancholy. Unfortunately, I didn't pass, but that's fine. Clearly, there's a large gap in skill between us. This does mean, however, that Kevin, Melancholy, and I can help out Orochimaru and Crystal with capturing the forces. By day 134, I've managed to mostly recover from the sickness. At least, enough to meet up with Orochimaru and the others. The plan is to have about 6 more days to train and prepare before the 3 of us head out on our mission to find some forces. Orochimaru believes that to be enough time for him to pinpoint the location of at least one of them. I spend the first 2 of the 6 days resting up and fully recovering. I also get a sick new outfit. In the last 4 days, I managed to perk back up and get to training with Kevin again. The 3 of us meet back at Orochimaru's lab, and he gives us a briefing. He explains that Crystal seems to remember that Earth Force would usually stay near the Land of Wind and the Land of Rain, so we're given an A-rank mission to investigate the area between the Sand Village and the Rain Village. It takes about 3 days to get to the area, and we spend about 2 more trying to find Earth Force. But finally, on day 145 we do, or rather, he finds us. Kevin decides to fight him on his own. It's at this point that he shows something nobody else in our team had seen yet. He activates his Sharingan. In the end, however, his Sharingan drains his chakra too fast, and he ends up getting knocked out. Melancholy takes him to the side as I fight Earth Force. After being weakened by Kevin, I'm able to beat him pretty quickly, but he runs away. He sinks into the ground, so we can't chase after him. We decide to head to the Rain Village and rest. Kevin finally wakes up and he's super mopey about losing, about being weak. We have some super deep best friend heart-to-heart, or something, and decide to go look for something to eat. We train for a few days in the Rain Village, but with Earth Force missing and no more leads, we decide to return to the Leaf Village and report what we know to Orochimaru. On the way, we run into Go. He's on the ground and bleeding badly. Before any words could be exchanged, we're attacked by lightning force. I manage to scare it off, but it runs away and I can't chase after it. We take Go back to the Rain Village. He spends the night recovering. He explains that after passing the Chunin exams, he was given a mission by the Amekage to lead a team of Genin to find and capture a lightning force. The 3 Genin were killed in battle, even though Go tried his hardest to save them. Lightning Force was sadistic, and he kept trying to let them bleed out. He did the same to Go as he suffered on the way to the Rain Village. We give him 1 more day to rest and recover. The next day he begins to lead us to where he found Lightning Force in the first place. It takes us 3 days to arrive, but when we do, Lightning Force is waiting for us. We battle again and put him on the back foot, but out of nowhere Earth Force shows up and begins helping him. Together the 2 of them are able to push all of us back, but we manage to overtake them in the end. All's well, but then they fuse together. They form into Explosion Force. Their new power is strong indeed, enough to even take out Melancholy and Go. But together, Kevin and I beat him. Explosion Force runs, but just in time, Orochimaru arrives and traps them in a glass ceiling jar. But there's no time to rest. As we all begin to leave for the Rain Village, Fire Force shows up. We struggled with some of the weakest forces, and Fire Force is the second strongest. Not only that, but we're also tired from our last few battles. But we have no choice. I tell everyone to get away, while I distract Fire Force. Orochimaru gladly accepts. He and Crystal take Melancholy and Go and head towards the rain. However, Kevin refuses to leave. Together, we fight Fire Force, who is incredibly disappointed with how weak we are. The fight comes to an end as I'm knocked out, and Kevin is left fighting alone. I wake up in the Rain Village. Orochimaru explains that Crystal felt a chakra presence fading, so Orochimaru himself came to help. But by the time he got back to help, Fire Force was gone, and he couldn't find Kevin anywhere. When Crystal hears this, she freaks out. She explains that if Fire Force were to absorb into Kevin's body, he could control him completely. Not only would he be even stronger, but he'd also have Kevin's Sharingan as if it were his own. It's not all bad news, though. She explains that Fire Force has the biggest weakness in water. Compared to the weaknesses of any of the other forces, water has the biggest effect on him. With my proficiency in water release, I could do some decent damage, but I need to train more. I train for 10 days before Orochimaru approaches me again. He explains that he can summon the perfect training partner for me. I agree without a second thought. He uses the reanimation jutsu, to summon from the dead the second Hokage, Tobirama. Orochimaru doesn't control him or his actions, so we have to quickly explain what's happening before he attacks us. He agrees to train me, but only for a week, and so long as Orochimaru is nowhere around. We all agree, and Orochimaru sets a 1-week timer on the reanimation. For 1 week, Tobirama teaches me many things. He helps me learn to focus a powerful ball of water chakra in my hand. He helps me increase my Shuriken Jutsu proficiency, as well as teaches me the Flying Thunder God technique. On the last day, I use everything I learned and fight him. At least, that was the plan. But then we're attacked. Water Force has shown up. Together, Tobirama and I fight him off, but in the middle of the fight, Tobirama's 1-week timer ends, and he vanishes. Left to fight alone, I have no choice but to use my Curse Mark II power, which I haven't even tried since the Chunin exams. After all my training, and with the prior help in this battle from Tobirama, I'm able to beat Water Force. I'm about to capture the Force when it says something to me. He claims that he is the only of the forces that is honorable. He says that he wants to absorb into me and help me out. I hesitate for a moment, but then he adds on and tells me that he swears on his pride that I will be the one to retain control of my body and mind. All his presence will do is allow me greater power. I think about it for a bit longer, and then Orochimaru shows up. He tells me to do it, as it will also help further his research. Finally, I end up accepting Water Force's offer. He absorbs into my body. The power surge triggers a sudden transformation, unlocking something new that nobody has ever seen before. Water Sage Mode. For a few days, Orochimaru uses me as research material, making sure that Water Force has kept his promise. It's a draining power, and it also makes me extremely tired, but after 3 days of meditation and training, I'm able to turn it off and on again freely. Exhausted, I rest for a few more days, then I continue my training. I decide that I need a real test to see if I'm ready to face Fire Force, so I ask Orochimaru if he'll allow me to fight Explosion Force one-on-one. He allows it, and in the Rain Village arena, he releases Explosion Force with the Amekage's permission. With my boost in power, my Kenjutsu is even stronger than before. My water dragons are even stronger as well. And then, I add Water Sage Mode on top of that. With ease, I knock out Explosion Force, and Orochimaru reseals him. I ask Crystal what she thinks, and she's unsure of whether it'll be enough to beat Fire Force. After absorbing Kevin and attaining a Sharingan, he'll be even more powerful. However, there is a chance that he has yet to absorb into him perfectly. Doing so against the host's will is much more difficult than it was for Water Force to do it with my consent. Finally, she adds that now is the perfect time to attack. Orochimaru has a bunch of locations tied to Fire Force, and I check out all of them. At this point, I've checked out 8 or so locations, and Fire Force was at none of them. But this time is different. I arrive, and here I find Kevin. But I was too late. Fire Force is absorbed into him. Right off the bat, I activate Water Sage Mode and attack him. We fight for a whole day, Both of us are exhausted, and I run out of Sage Mode. He has the advantage, but just as he's about to attack me again, he stopped. Melancholy arrived and was waiting for an opening. She spent a lot of time training with the Nara clan to learn their shadow possession jutsu. With him trapped, she readies herself. When he sees her, he laughs.
You. I know about you. From Yang Force. You're her younger sister. To think you used to be so weak. Yin.
Melancholy uses her genjutsu, Limbo, on Fire Force. Melancholy admits that it's true about her being Yin Force. She got sick of being so weak and getting picked on by her older sister, so she left to become a ninja and train that way. Before the conversation can continue, Fire Force breaks out of her genjutsu.
And you're still weak.
Both of us are too tired to chase after him. Having failed once more, we finally return to the Hidden Leaf. Upon arrival, Orochimaru can already tell that we couldn't capture him. Lord Sixth tells us not to worry. With Naruto chasing Wind Force all over the country, there's a good chance he'll run into Fire Force as well. And if he's weakened from our fight at all, he can probably take him out. Reluctantly, I agree, and rest for the day. I spend the last 3 days training. I know we can let Naruto take them on, but now it's become personal. Not only has he kidnapped my best friend, but he insulted Melancholy and her power. I will get my revenge on Fire Force. I swear it. In the next 100 days. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much. I'm super excited because making this series has been really fun, and the growth for my channel from it has been just immaculate. Be excited because there will be more. I'm having a fun time writing this story, so I hope you guys are enjoying it. Leave a comment down below as to what you guys think might happen. I'm really excited to hear about what you guys think. So, yeah, see you next time.